Love is our true divine nature, and our heart serves as the intersection of the spiritual and physical, connecting our soul with our body as the conduit for anchoring our divinity onto the earth plane. Embodying our divinity is the key to our ascension and to manifesting our highest destiny in this life. The teachings of the heart are alchemy. Join spiritual mentor and channel Jennifer Spohr each week on a sacred journey to lift the veil to remembering your divinity and meet other beautiful souls who are living the path of the awakened heart. Hi everyone, let's try this again. This is my second shot at hitting record today. I am really excited to welcome as a guest to the show today Daniela Sulek. She helps renowned leaders activate and integrate a permanent state of higher consciousness by transcending from creating by doing to creating by being. They're no longer bound by the conditioned mind, time, or space. I just love that, and I can't wait to dive into this conversation. So welcome, Daniela. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'd love for you to share with us more about the work you do. In particular, what really stood out when I was reading your bio just now is you do put emphasis around the not just the creating, right, but the being, the embodiment part of it. I feel like, especially in the personal development, spiritual community, many of us, and I've been in that place on my journey too, where it's like you tend to get kind of more focused in the upper chakras, let's just say, when a big part of our experience here, having the human experience, is being in the body, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so the being comes from I would say the only thing that exists and is real, because the doing is not real. So when we are caught up in the circle of doing, which is really our mind programming, the mind needs to do something. We are literally being sucked in the illusion the mind has created for us, because the truth is that nothing needs to be created. Everything already is. So if everything already is, we don't need to create anything. We just need to be and kind of like observe how things unfold, and things unfold perfectly for us as we want them. When we do things and we actually think that we are creating something, but we are not. The only thing we are doing is that we entangle ourselves in the web of our actions and efforts. And then when the life becomes very hard and very challenging and very struggling, because we need to come up with the solutions, we need to figure out things. And meanwhile, nothing needs to be figured out because everything already is.
So based on what you're sharing there, how would you relate that in terms of the context of manifesting?
Well, even the context of manifesting, it's the illusion the mind creates, because so the mind is programmed to do it. The mind is a lower dimension, it's a lower consciousness. So when we are really programmed to do things, there are goals out there. The mind is externalized. You have to understand the mind is the externalized, and it focuses out there for external things. And there is no difference between a business person that has our goal as revenue, stock market, projects, I don't know, material things. And that's the goal. And a spiritual person, even healer, that has a goal of spiritual journey, or do things, or manifesting. It's the same stuff. The mind just kind of wraps it up in this spiritual package, but it focuses the individual, the person, outside of themselves and creates illusion that we need to do something. You don't need to manifest. You are manifesting all the time. You are manifesting.
Yeah.
So you're perfectly manifesting all the time based on your vibrational blueprint. And we all live in a kind of like a different dimension. So on the lower level, when the person is really in the dimension of the mind conditioning, they are manifesting, they are getting the struggle, the challenges, a fear of anything happening, fear of future, trauma, and all sorts of that stuff. It's very dense, it's very deep, dense density. In a higher consciousness, when we no longer function, or when the mind literally dissolves, we no longer kind of use the mind as in the same way as in the lower density. The same way we still manifest, but now the life is ease, the life is joy. There are no challenges. And there are no struggles. We are just being, and we literally enjoy ourselves seeing the life unfolding. There is no need for manifestation. The need for manifestation is a part of the illusion, just as the reality is.
Yeah, I have so many questions brewing here. So if we're here for context of the conversation,
yeah,
as a being, you're here having this experience on this earth plane, and there is no really doing, there is just being, because everything already is. How does that relate to desire?
That's a very absolutely amazing question, because every desire comes from a fear. Every desire comes from a fear and from a conditioning. Again, the mind creates a conditioning and a belief system. I am not enough. So if I am not enough and I am not, it comes from the belief system of separation, or the illusion of separation. Because and again, in the lower density, then there is a desire, and I have a certain desire, no matter what the desire it is, and no matter how, I would say, wonderful or peaceful, or I'm here to serve the earth, the desire is. Even if it's I'm here to heal the world, then I see the world as I am me. I see myself, which is the world needs healing. And that's why I need to heal the world. When one shifts from the mind into the higher consciousness of being, there is no desire. The desire is in the mind, and it's because it's from the past. Every desire comes from the past. The mind creates the illusion of past and future, and it brings all our experiences and memories into our present and projects it into the future. And that's the desire. If you are not in the mind, but there's a consciousness, pure consciousness, you exist only in the now, only in the present. That's a pure consciousness, all that is, the energy. There is no desire, because there is no future. How can you desire something that is in the future when the future doesn't exist? Like, think about it.
But then the future does technically exist, right? Because time is an earth plane thing. Beyond, everything is multidimensional, right? There are like different dimensions that exist, different.
The time is an earth plane thing for the mind that is low density. Absolutely. If you shift into the higher consciousness, the time disappears. There is kind of a practical time when you know that you have a meeting at 3:00 afternoon, but the psychological time literally disappears. The perception of time, of what day it is, what time it is, you don't pay attention to that, because you're completely in the present.
You're present,
you don't in that higher consciousness, or the pure consciousness, it's actually impossible to go into the future. So you cannot access future. That's why there is no fear and anxiety, because there is nothing to be anxious about. Any fear and anxiety comes from fearing or being afraid of future, or fear of unknown. As a pure consciousness, you are literally functioning as the energy now, and you cannot access the fear of future or the trauma of the past, because that's how it is.
Yeah.
So the extreme, to really relate, or to really make everyone understand, is the extreme thing is trauma, right? So when we relive a certain trauma, car accident, or any personal trauma, what it is, the mind is stuck in that fear, in that emotions and belief system. And you have to understand that a mind is not entity. A mind is just literally a web of beliefs and emotions. That's it. So that creates a certain individuality, certain personality, and that event is being over and over projected into our present. The individual is literally in the past all the time. That's how healing of trauma is possible. There is an instant healing of trauma if the mind dissolves and you shift into the higher consciousness, because the mind is where the trauma exists. The trauma doesn't exist with you. You are pure consciousness that become unconscious and see itself as the mind individuality. Once the mind dissolves, the unconscious consciousness becomes conscious and knows who it is, and the trauma disappears. So that's why when the mind dissolves, there is no trauma, there is no fear, there is no anxiety. There is just living purely in the present, and your being. You don't rush, you don't stress, you are just are.
So when you just are, when you're being in the state of higher consciousness, you're at that point, right? Just to put it kind of into simple terms for anyone who's listening. What then is your purpose for having the human experience, for continuing to have the human experience here?
That's a great question. Our only purpose to have this experience is to be. So is to have experience. When can you have experience? Only in the present. The moment you are in the mind, whether it is unresolved trauma, or you're worrying about the future because of your past and the conditioning, you're missing the experience you're having. So there is no purpose to heal anyone. There is no purpose because actually no one exists. There is no one outside of you. We are all living in a holographic projection the mind creates, and it creates our physical experience. The physical reality is not real. Our experience of the physical reality is real. So there is not one earth, there is 8 billion earths. And we all have a different perspective, and we all create our world, our earth. Nothing is physical. This earth is not physical. So while we are here on this earth plane in the human body, our real purpose and only purpose is to be. And when you're being, you are experiencing everything now. You are not thinking in the past. You are not worrying about the future. There is nothing you need to do. When you're with the kids, you are in the now with the kids. When you're cooking, you are cooking. When you're having podcasts, you're fully present. Like there is no, that's what I said, that the time concept is gone, because the mind no longer creates the illusion of the time.
So are you saying that by being in the now, I'm really, where I'm coming from in this particular now moment is the whole experience around navigating being in this higher consciousness, but also being, which you would say is an illusion probably, but being within that 3D construct and balancing that. So if you're always in the now, and you're saying that desire comes from a place of lack ultimately, then how are you managing being fully resourced to navigate your human
Everything,
experience.
and everything comes effortlessly to you. Life is happening and everything comes effortlessly to you. There is nothing you need to do. Your body is literally an instrument of the infinite energy that creates everything, and actually that already has created everything. You're only noticing it by having the experience of what is happening now. But the mind that creates the illusion of separation of this helpless human being who needs to do something to take care of myself, to make sure I'm sheltered, to make sure I have a income, to make sure all those things, then that life is real. I'm not saying it's not real. I've lived it for many years.
Totally. Yeah. The reason why, the reason why I'm asking these questions is because these are all questions that a lot of people listening would
absolutely
be asking, right?
But everything is based on the belief system. So it's kind of this vicious circle. The mind creates the belief system of the separation, and that I need to do this as a helpless human. And that creates the reality of me going through the struggles, having bills I cannot pay, or car accident, or illness. And now my attention is to that reality. And my attention to the reality just reinforces my belief system that it's real, and reinforces that reality. And that's how people spend lifetime. And I know many of them spend lifetime until we pass away. And that at that moment we wake up and we look and like, oh my gosh, that was not real. And we go back again to really learn. Really, the only reason why we are here is to know who we are. That's it. Not to, because once you understand the self, or the true self, which is not the body, which is not the mind, which is beyond the body and beyond the mind, there is nothing you need to do. Because it's the analogy I would say is like the dream. When you dream, the dream not only feels real, you feel emotions, joy or fear, depending on what is being played out in your dream. But also, it's not like you're watching the movie. No, when you dream, it's you are there. You have a body. You are a participant. And when you wake up, the moment you wake up, you understand, okay, that was just a dream. And there is no need to give attention to the dream anymore or continue dreaming. You understand it's an illusion. It never happened. This is what happens to everyone when we die. It can happen to everyone, or to people who are called to that journey, when they dissolve the mind and they shift into the higher consciousness. The reality, they understand it's dream. The perception of seeing the reality is different. Yeah.
I mean, so beautifully articulated. I'm loving this conversation because this is like, it's next level stuff.
It is next level, and there are very few people who function on this level of consciousness, because we've been for 1,000 years conditioned to believe that we are this identity, we are these humans, we are these bodies and minds, and this is the life and the history. And as I said before, the reality, the physical reality, proves us that this is it. Until you wake up, you will consider the physical reality real. So, and you cannot wake up a different way, just dissolve the mind and shift into the higher consciousness, because then there is nothing you just see things differently and clearly. So for those who this doesn't make sense, continue on your path. And for people who it does make sense, then believe in yourself and kind of like trust in what you know. This is one thing that I realized, that people who are coming to me, when I articulate something like that, they come to me and like, okay, I know that I know what you're saying is true, even though this reality shows me different. And I thought I was nuts. And that was my thing. I knew that this is wrong. I knew that this is false, but I knew it on an intellectual kind of level, or some kind of a feeling. But once I fully shifted, now I know, like, I see things differently. So there is no longer need to do that human stuff, what we do. And life is, that's why I love what you're doing, because, you know, you are speaking and helping people, regardless of where they are, where they are on the journey. Everyone will find what they need. Like, and this is the journey, really, to knowing the self and to dropping the mind.
It's really, no matter where they are, holding space for them to align to whatever that is for them.
Yes, you cannot force this. You cannot force it. It happens.
No. I just find all of the universe very fascinating.
Oh, it is. Oh,
it is so fascinating. And, you know, I didn't say this when I introduced you when we started the episode, but in your bio, I believe it says something about, you know, some of the people that you work with. This is literally like 1% of the population. I can't remember exactly how you worded it, but it's so true, because you've moved, because even a lot of the people that I hold space for are still in, I'm speaking with them about the fact that they already are whole, the truth. I don't like to say fact, like the truth, that they already are whole and complete, right? But many people are still in that place in terms of their consciousness of the desire, right?
Yeah. And so that's interesting, and that's only the one thing I've noticed is so many healers, coaches work with fears, and I used to too, but I've realized that actually removing all desires, really more direct way, because every desire comes from fear and from the belief system. I am not enough and I am a separate being.
Yeah, and what you're saying is very clear. I'm just saying we're still this whole earth construct, everything that the illusions swirling around, or however we want to refer to them, many people are still in that state of consciousness, that place of desire, right? They're because what we're talking about right now is beyond that. It's very clear to me. I'm really glad we're having this conversation, because it's going to give people, you know, a lot of food for thought, right? Like something to definitely marinate in. That's the word I like to use. But I'm loving it. I'm loving this conversation. So tell me, I mean, because honestly, I could talk to you for hours and days about this stuff. So I think even what we've already covered today is like gonna give a lot of people, you know, something to chew on, so to speak. So tell me what, you know, how did you get here, right, to this place, in terms of holding this kind of space for other people? What led you there?
So as I love saying, I was humaning. I was humaning for a good 40 years of my life, and then life made me to stop on tracks and realize that and kind of start thinking what I was doing. I was a high achiever, corporate world, go. Unless I see it, feel it, and touch it, it's not real. So I shifted gears because of my health, and literally I realized that there is no way, or I started really asking questions. I was like, there is no way that we came here to struggle and to literally just work hard and struggle and not having fun, and everything is just serious business. There is no way. And I kept myself asking just one question: is I wanted to remember who I was. That's it. I didn't want to be coach. I didn't want to be healer. I didn't want to be successful and no revenue. Like, I had this urge of remember who I was. And that accelerated my, what you can call spiritual experiences. But I had many, many involuntary experiences, which I didn't seek. I didn't even meditate. I was just being out of body, astral travel, experiencing myself as a pure consciousness, experiencing myself as an emotion, the mind dissolving and wrapping itself up into a black hole, which I only then Googled. There is a black hole in the center of everything that is conscious, and I experienced this twice. So, and I was still aware. So that was a very profound experience, because the mind was not there, the body was not there, the perception of mind and body completely disappeared. Everything would disappear, everything was a blackness, and I was still aware. I'm like, okay, so this is who we are. This is who we are.
Yeah.
And so these experiences kind of helped me to create this puzzle. And what I do now, yes, I help people, yes, I coach them, yes, I work with them, but really what I do, I have no script, I have no modules, I have no funnels, I have nothing. People find me. For those who are meant to work with me, they find me. I rarely talk to people. The one I talk to, I made a huge impact on. And as I said, and I am just being with them. We are having this kind of conversation. I do some meditation, I do something, but I am not doing any intentions, any manifestation, any rituals. This is something. I just worked with a client who was 10 years in the spiritual world and doing rituals and manifestation and journaling and meditation and full moon meditation. And she realized that it was all the mind looking outside for ways how to be whole, so you don't need to do anything. When there is no mind, when you're in the higher consciousness, you're being. There is nothing you do, you're being, and that energy transforms everyone who is around you.
I mean, pretty much everything. As I'm listening to you speak, I'm just, I don't even want to say the word thinking, but it's just kind of like when you're talking about the black hole, I look at that as like the void, right? I'm very familiar with what you're talking about. And then meditation is just a fancy name for being present, right? And in fact, beyond meditation, really the manifesting and I teach a lot of different, I would just say, like, not even rituals, it's more of, I provide vehicles that ignite awakening and support people in reaching higher states of consciousness.
Yeah.
Some of it could look similar to manifesting or meditation, but that's really what I do, right? Is just like, I'm that kind of catalyst for people. But it's just everything, right? Meditation, whatever else it is, all of these, like these rituals that you reference and whatnot, they all go back to being present. That's really,
yeah,
there are fancy names and different terms and all of these different things in the world, but that's really what it is. It's really what everything, what it's doing is just, the goal is bringing us back to the now. But what you said about your client, right, was so important. I thought about, or maybe it wasn't specifically about a client, but you were just pointing out that it's all about like that need to look outside yourself, like to satisfy your mind's.
Yes, to satisfy the mind's craving and desires and the belief system that I'm not enough. So everything is valid. So one point I want to make is that absolutely what you do is valid and needed, because there are people on that level of consciousness that need you, and you don't need to look for them. They find you. We are all, it's so amazing and fascinating. We are all, I can tell you that so about 5 or 6 years ago, I had a group program, and I help women to remove completely anxiety and depression, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, very severe anxiety states. At that time, my consciousness was lower, and I had clients who were attracted to me, and I worked with them. Now I don't do that anymore because I shifted. So we are constantly shifted. And as we are shifted, our environment, our reality shifts, and reality is also client, right? So absolutely. We all do what we need to do. Otherwise we wouldn't do that. See how I said before?
I'm having so much fun. I'm having so much fun talking to you.
The thing I want to mention, and you said it, that it's the mind's desire or need or urge, and really like addiction. It's the mind's addiction to look for something outside of us. And especially in the spiritual world, what I see is whether it's EFT, whether it's crystals, whether it's full moon, I always say when I talk to people, like, those are all things valid, but those are only really permission slips that you take you into you, because at the end of the day, you need to, well, you should, or not everyone, but people will get to the state of realization, you are crystals, you are full moon, you are EFT. There is nothing outside of you. So for those who listen and who spend, because I came across people who told me, Daniela, I spend 4 hours in the morning, I meditate, I do this, I journal, but it takes so much time. And I'm like, oh yeah, do you like it? Because that's the mind pointing out, you need to do this and this and this to, for example, be in a certain state. You don't need to do any of that, because when you dissolve the mind, you are in that state all the time. Do I like crystals? Yeah, I don't need them. Do I like full moon? Yeah, I don't need it. Your state is completely present and joyous, and there is this deep peace all the time. There is nothing you need to do to get there. If you need to do something to get there, you're certain it's the mind telling you that you need to do that, and you're immediately in the illusion of separation. I'm not enough, and I need to do something to be enough or to shift my state.
Yeah, love that. In closing, what else are you feeling guided to bring forward in this now moment?
Nothing, because I cannot go into the future. So whatever we call future brings for me, I will be doing it. But I'm not doing anything. When I'm writing, it's not me who is writing. I am an instrument for the infinite intelligence. I cannot take credit for my teachings, for my writing, for anything, because I'm literally just being. And that's why it's effortless, and things happen effortless. My writing, my speaking, my coaching, there is nothing I need to do a hard way. So I don't know what I will be doing tomorrow. I don't know what I will be tonight. It's a very spontaneous and yet very peaceful way of living, where things just kind of click. Every minute things click, and you are at the place where you need to be at the time you need to be, and you don't want to be anywhere else. Nothing needs to change. No one needs to be different. Everything is perfect, always.
Love that so much. I just could talk to you for hours and days, and I want to really just in closing express gratitude to you, because just in the short time, the half hour or so that we've been talking today, you have really just provided so much wisdom and just it's going to just be amazing for whoever listens. I mean, they're going to have their own unique experience with it, but I just want to thank you for being a guest today, because yes, you've given a lot for people to
thank you. I did nothing. I'm just being me. I really did nothing. If there if people will have questions, if your audience will reach out to you with any questions, or with they're like, what, I don't, or they want to learn more, or they don't understand something, I will be more than happy to do this again with a kind of specific questions.
Yes.
I know this was very raw and natural conversation, and
no, but this was very enriching though. This will be
Yes.
very enriching for those who listen to it, just in what we covered today. And I wanted to say, you also, which will be included in the show notes, you provided us with your website, which is danielasulek.com. So for those who are listening, you can connect with her there through the show notes, or just go to DanielaSulek.com.
Yeah, it's my name, first name, last name, and .com. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you so much for this conversation today.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you for listening to Path of the Awakened Heart. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or pathoftheawakenedheart.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about living with an awakened heart and navigating your ascension journey, visit me at jenniferspore.com.